We are very pleased to have as our guest for today's press conference NAWEC, officials of NAWEC. Will have the Honorable Minister to give us update, to tell us what is happening across government.
Good morning, members of the press here present today, members of the public watching us from home, both here in the Gambia but also from abroad. Our distinguished guests from the National Water and Electricity Company, NAWEC, who accepted our invitation to come here and face the public, because we all know there is so much public outcry out there because of the electricity issue. And I think there is no better institution than NAWEC to come and explain the situation, what is happening, so the Gambians are aware as to what is happening, why is the issue happening, and what are the timelines that Gambia can expect for the situation to stabilize. So we'll give NAWEC about 20 minutes, half an hour to do a presentation. Then we can go to Q&A. But in the meantime, I'll have to bring updates from government. In particular, I'd like to thank the members of the press for always coming to answer when we organize our monthly press conferences. The purpose of this press conference is to bridge the gap between the government and the people. And as a ministry, our role is to promote proactive disclosure. That is, we ensure the public are informed of what government is doing, our policies, our programs, our initiatives, in a timely, accurate manner. That is why we organize these monthly press conferences, so that we invite the press, because the press is the conduit between the people and the government. The government cannot be everywhere. We cannot go to every village, every town, and every city, and every region to explain to the people what we are doing with the public finances, to explain to the people what we are doing with security, with energy, and so many other sectors. But the people also cannot always come to Banjul to ask the government what they are doing. Therefore, the press is important, the media is important, because they are the conduit. They play that link between the government and the people. That is why we have the press conference. So we talk to the media, who talk to the people. But also the people talk to the media, who also talk to the government. So we play a very critical role in national development, and we thank you for your usual support. Now, the first update from the government is from the Office of the President. The public is informed, and I think this has already passed, it's overtaken by events. That is, President Adama Barrow received the President of Senegal, Mr. Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, at the Banjul International Airport for a working visit focused on strengthening bilateral relations and regional cooperation between the two countries. The President of Senegal visited last week Saturday, and he spent almost the whole day here, having discussions with the President as part of efforts to further strengthen the ties between the two sister countries. The President also has accepted the resignation of the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Mohamed O.A. Cham, following reported allegations of misconduct. Major General Usman Gomez has been appointed as Acting Chief of Defense Staff in line with constitutional provisions. In a separate engagement, the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, hosted the TIBU Africa delegation from Morocco following the launch of the Generation Sportive program in the Gambia. The initiative focuses on youth development, school sports, health, and skills training, with a long-term target of reaching over 600 public primary schools nationwide by 2030. This also is within the framework of government's policy to promote health, to promote education through sports. In the same vein, His Excellency, President Adama Barrow, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, has directed the establishment of an independent board of inquiry to investigate the purported allegations leveled against the former Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Mohamed O.A. Cham, by his former PA, ex-Sergeant Sen Modu Sen. In a press release, the Gambia Armed Forces stated that no substantive evidence for now has been established as indicated, and indicated that the institution will allow a thorough and impartial investigation process to take course. We have an update from Minister of Basic and Secondary Education. In a press release, the ministry announced that a number of in-service graduates have had their status regularized following a recent exercise, while others remain unregularized and are requested to report with relevant documents for processing. The ministry also informed teaching and administrative staff not captured in the civil service verification exercise to participate in the final verification exercise scheduled from 1st to 15th of June 2026. Now, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation of Gambians Abroad, they informed the public that the Gambia participated in the Korea-Africa Foreign Ministers meeting in Seoul, focusing on trade, investment, and digital transformation. Also on agriculture and human capital development. The ministry also issued a safety advisory for Gambians living in South Africa, following reports of xenophobic tensions in that country. And they have urged caution and engagement with diplomatic missions, and this was done through a press release. Now, the Ministry of Petroleum, Energy and Mines, in a press release, announced a subsidy intervention from the Gambia government, which has reduced consequently the gasoline prices from $120 per liter to $115 per liter. Like I said, it's supported by $150 million government subsidy to stabilize fuel costs. If you could recall, since the crisis in the Middle East began and the supply chains were disrupted insofar as energy is concerned, this is the third time the government has intervened through subsidies to ensure that prices for diesel and petrol are stabilized. In April, $300 million plus was subsidized. In May, 150 million, and now in June, another 150 million to ensure that we cushion the shocks that are caused by the global oil prices that have gone up due to the crisis in the Middle East. Now, the Ministry of Interior, through the Department of Immigration, has announced that it has received 6 patrol vehicles and 6 patrol vehicles to strengthen border security operations. And we all know the Gambia is facing challenges like most countries in the world. Obviously, migration is a crisis. And as part of our efforts to control our borders and to discourage irregular migration, the government has strengthened the capacity of the Gambia Immigration Department with 6 pickup vehicles, amongst other things, to ensure that they strengthen border security. Now, the Minister of Defense also announced that Major General Usman Gomez formally assumed duties as Acting Chief of Defense Staff. And he also paid a courtesy call to the Minister of Defense, reaffirming commitment to professionalism and national security. And yesterday, in a press release, the Ministry of Information, Media and Broadcasting Services announced that the Gambia has been ranked among top 10 most progressive economies in Africa in the 2026 Hello Safe Prosperity Index. The statement noted that the recognition reflects ongoing national reforms and progress in governance, economic stability, and social development under the leadership of His Excellency, President Adama Barrow. So these are the updates from government, from me, and now we move next to invite NAWEC to come and give a presentation, after which we'll go to question and answers.
The Deputy Managing Director at NAWEC. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Cisse for arranging this press conference. We felt that before we also take questions, we wanted to just throw out some basic facts on the sector, just so that we can share some of the information that is showing the strength and health of the energy sector, which I think has grown significantly over the last 10 years. Also, I think it's important to understand that we are operating within a policy framework. We have the roadmap, which outlines the vision of the sector over the next 40 years. And this is a long-term plan. And therefore, what we're experiencing now is just a glitch that is not a system failure, but rather an unexpected situation that we are trying to address. So I just want to go through a few slides that will just show some of the basic data about the sector. As I mentioned, we move away from short-term intervention to long-term planning, which shows that there is a need there's a need to address some of the challenges. Most of you would know in Africa, more than 600 million Africans don't have access to electricity. And this is the same in most countries. And so in the Gambia, one of the key pillars of the roadmap is to make sure that by 2025, almost every household has access to electricity. This is called universal access. And it's a policy across the continent, almost every country. And it has been the cornerstone of the energy roadmap. Access has been what has been driving most of the energy projects. And I am pleased to say that it's a fact that as of 2025, more than 90% of Gambian households are connected to electricity. And with the ongoing projects that we have, these are active projects that are actually being implemented right now. By the end of 2026, this figure will be around above 95 to 97%. So currently, you can see different countries in Africa at different levels. If you take West Africa, for example, it's only Ivory Coast and Senegal and Ghana that are above 80%, and we are at 90%. So relatively speaking, even among all other African countries, access is an issue that is a fact in the Gambia. So again, as I mentioned, we have currently about 420,000 customers active, and most of them are also on prepayment, which is also a unique thing in the Gambia because in most countries you consume and pay later. So another aspect of the energy roadmap has been grid modernization, because sometimes you can have surplus energy, but you have bottlenecks in transmission. And these are, most times, most people will know these overloaded transformers. And therefore, to improve the quality of service, there's been a lot of grid modernization. New transformers have been installed, some in Jabang. We have in Medina 2, Birkama, that is inside the market. We have in Rusubi, Jabang, and Banjul, just by the airport, where the police stand. There's a new substation being built to handle Lamin and other areas. Another part of the energy roadmap is that unfortunately, the Gambia is one of the only African countries that doesn't have a primary energy resource. There is no oil, there is no coal. We don't really have, the only resource we have is the sun. And therefore, the roadmap was very clear that we should try to harness as much energy locally as possible. And this is why we have implemented the Jambu solar plant, which is a very big plant, about 23 megawatts. And also at the same time, we launched a tender for a 50 megawatt plant in Soma. As I speak to you right now, the contract negotiation is being done, and I think before the end of June, the contract will be awarded. Then another part of the roadmap is that historically in the Gambia, electricity has been very expensive. And so how do we make sure that Gambians have cheap and stable prices? Because we don't want to be increasing the tariffs every 2, 3, 4 years. So to do this, different scenarios were done, but it was found that importing energy from our sub-region to our neighbors like Guinea and Senegal, where we have abundant hydro resources, is part of the strategy. This is very important. And therefore, this is why investment was done to build the interconnection line, which I also want to say, this is actually your taxpayers. The OMVG line is not owned by other countries. It is owned by the Gambia and Senegal and Mali and Guinea and Guinea-Conakry. The 4 countries together own this asset and share it. So we share the line, and we're also sharing some of the power plants that are built together. So these are just basic facts that show the overall sector strategy that is driving the energy sector. So the sector is not really based on intervention. There's a plan, and everybody's following the plan. Next, please. So as I showed, if you look at also energy consumption, the sector is growing. In 2016, we were consuming around 300,000 megawatt hours of energy. And this is energy where we were not interconnected with anybody. We were just producing increase by a factor of 3. Right now, as we speak for 2026, we're expecting about 970,000 megawatt hours. So you can see from the data, the demand for electricity is very high, and we are seeing about 12% growth every year. But this is obvious. Most people in this country would know that the construction industry is growing. People are building houses, of course, and we are seeing the rapid urbanization. And you can also see in the difference in the energy consumption. Industry is not consuming most of the energy now. Most of the energy is being consumed by domestic consumers, more than 61% of the energy. Next, please. Again, I think I just want to highlight this is what the grid was before. If you travel, it's really isolated villages that are off the road, that are currently, in fact, I think it's only Sierra Bank in the lower river. The access is above 90%. And you can see the map right now, it's almost covering the entire country. So this is where the investment has been focused over the last 3 years to put access to also the rest of the Gambia. And you can see today as we speak, from Barra to Basse, there's a very reliable electricity supply as well. Equally, we should have the same in the GBA. So I think this is really, this slide highlights what many people wanted to find out. If you look at the roadmap, there's an emphasis that NAWEC should always have the capability to provide electricity. So, but what has also been happening is that over the last 12 months, we have actually been focusing on rapid maintenance of many of the engines. And if you look at Kotu, for example, currently 2 engines are available. And we look at Bilkama, that was renovated, rehabilitated in December. It's running. In Bilkama 2, which is also available in February this year, it's running as well, 9 megawatts. In Bilkama 3, one of the engines is running. It's just developing a minor technical fault, and for safety reasons, it's not been run. So we're expecting some engineers from Germany. They will come in later in the month. So the Jambu plant is also running. We made this point during our press conference in April. If you look at Bilkam, since the spare parts, they're coming from South Korea. They were ordered since February. When the war broke out, the parts had already been shipped, and they were in Dubai, and they were stopped. And since then, they've been going down, and now they've found a new route, and we still haven't received it. So there's not much we can do, because this is an externality that is a reality. So again, another thing that has happened is since the war happened, we had to also stock up on fuel, because energy security is not just generating your own capacity. You have to have fuel as well. So we've spent a lot of money to purchase fuel to stock up at Kotu and also Bilkama, because there is no point having engines when you don't have fuel. So energy security is a broad term. It's not just the capability to produce, but you also have to stock up on fuel. Because I think if the generators were running and we didn't have fuel, we'll also be in this press conference today defending why management didn't anticipate that. So I think this highlights just the reality of our own domestic production. It's not neglected. It's actually going to maintenance. So we'll explain also later why we're seeing this extensive load shedding. Because in fact, before this process, maintenance was happening, but most people wouldn't know it because we could source power to substitute that. So, for example, as I mentioned, Bilkama 2, the maintenance happened in January, but most people didn't know that it was happening because we could source the power from neighbors to compensate for that 1 or 2 months. Next, please. So, these are just, again, some basic facts. You're welcome to come to NAWEC. We are open to share the information. Like I said, we spent over almost about more than $1 million, about almost 80 to 90 million just in the last 12 months on maintenance. We pay for maintenance when the parts arrive. So I just wanted to show what we have paid. But if I show the total procurement, we're talking of almost $2 to $3 million. But the parts have not arrived, so we have not been able to pay for it. Again, like I said, some of those that are in the red, it's in our budget. We're going to rehabilitate them, but that would go up to next year. Again, in terms of fuel, what we have paid again, and this was not even anticipated. If the war didn't happen, we wouldn't need to spend all of this on fuel. But we have spent over $100 million just to buy HFO. And the other thing I want to emphasize is that if you look at the transport price, it gives you an indication of what fuel prices are for HFO. Fuel prices in the Gambia in February were around $67 or so. Today is 120. That is the reality of the energy market. The same thing has happened to HFO prices. Today it has doubled, but you can see that, of course, electricity prices have not doubled because of this interconnection and importation. But if we were to pass the cost, true cost, then really prices should have increased as well. I think we have the last slide. One more, let me just go back. Okay, so I think we also want to emphasize the importance of the interconnection. This map shows the line. Basically, it's a ring to ensure that it's stable. So we have, it's about 1,500 kilometers of 225 kV line. And it enters the Gambia from Tanaf, which is in southern Senegal. And then at Soma, it branches off to come to Bilkama. And then from Bilkama, NAWEC brings it back to Jabang. And then it continues to Kaula and to Senegal, and then you have the link going back. So what this is doing is trying to harness the energy resources within our sub-region so that we can be energy independent as a sub-region. Because pulling together as African countries makes us stronger rather than trying to work individually. So within the Gambia, in summer, we have 30 MVA. There's a big substation there. And then in Bilkama, there's a 140 MVA transformer as well. And also, I want to emphasize that what is happening is, for example, if we import energy from Guinea, it passes through Senegal. It's not being supplied by Senegal. It's just passing through the network. In the same way, some of you who have also been to the provinces, we also do the same for Senegal. They use our network to supply some of their border villages because those villages are closer to the Gambia. If they want to supply, say, Kir Ayub, which is in Farafenni from Dakar, the voltage drop will be very high. So they ask us to supply them from Soma because it's a shorter distance of 10 or 15 kilometers. So it's not a matter of a linear importation on one side. There's energy flowing within the network, both sides. So this is how the energy market is working. They would call us and say, can you supply on this side? We call them and say, can you supply on the other side as well? So and I think maybe my colleagues can also talk about it because what happens is it's a week ahead. So we are in week 23 now. You give your nomination for next week and say, I need X megawatt every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And Senegal will say, I can provide this. Guinea will say, I can provide this, and vice versa. And then you agree on the nominations, and then this energy flows next week. So it's a week ahead market on how it's working. So the point I'm showing this is because there's a lot of emphasis about Gambia, Senegal. It's more than just Senegal. It's a regional network of different countries working together on a daily basis. So it's not about Senelec and NAWEC. It's a bigger picture that I think everybody should be able to see. So the last slide, you want more?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, I think the other thing is I just wanted to highlight that it's just like your water bill. When you consume water this month, NAWEC doesn't bill you this month. We read the meter this month, we reconcile it, we bill you. So there's a lag in your billing. The same thing is happening with the electricity transaction. Just because we are paying bills of, say, February, doesn't mean that we owe. Yes, technically we owe them, but it's not that we are not paying. Because first, once you consume the energy, you have to reconcile the nominations. Because when you say that this is what I want and this is supply, you also have to physically travel to the metering points and measure the energy, reconcile it, then do the invoicing. So that lag is always a natural thing. So if we have, say, $10 or $20 million between us and Guinea or Senegal, it's not that we are not paying and they're cutting the energy. This is a natural way the market works. So I think that we've seen some figures being thrown around that we owe this amount, we owe that amount, but it's not necessarily that we are paying the bills. And also I want to emphasize that Just think of it, if we were selling electricity to a country outside the Gambia, how would we know that they will pay? We would ask for a bank guarantee. We have provided bank guarantee against any transaction. So if we have not paid our bills, they would cash the bank guarantee. So I think it's not a financial issue here. And also, even before this crisis, the months that are lagging have been the same. So I don't think that the point here is just to make sure that in the energy market, countries owe each other, because the settlement process takes more than 1 month or 2 months to do the transaction. So the outlook, like I said, I think the energy sector as a whole has not failed. I think that it has delivered to many Gambian homes, what many African countries are struggling to have. I think morally it's the right thing that everybody enjoys electricity for the first time. But I think one thing we want to also send a message here is that we don't want to deflect any excuses to blame Senelec or anybody else. We want to throw the facts out there, answer your question, and ensure the Gambian people just have the facts. And we also want to note that it has been a challenge because of the amount of energy being lost. We've not been able to communicate on a scheduling basis, but I think during this question we will also be able to answer that. So the outlook is that we have new power plants. We hope that the 50 megawatt will be started by the end of the year. And also, I think on the water side, we have also, you can see we have a new treatment plant that is being built in Tujareg. Hopefully, it will come up by September. We will inaugurate it. It will be the first one since 2009. Equally, people are complaining about the availability of water. But if you can see, the investment for a new water treatment plant has not happened in almost 17 years. So that is a big gap to fill. I don't think this plant alone will solve it, but it will really fill the gap. So once again, I think on behalf of the management, we just want to say that our doors are open. We're trying to communicate as much as possible on radio, on TV, and also press conferences like this. I think we will have as many as possible, just so that we answer all the questions. And you're also free to engage us at NAWEC anytime. And we also are available to answer any questions that you have today. Thank you very much.
My name is Aliou Jallo. I work for the FATO network. My first question will go to Dr. Cisse. Recently, the government actually made an announcement of $150 million subsidies. Now, to subsidize for fuel prices for consumers. Now, my question would be, for you to give us a detailed breakdown of these prices, of these subsidies, and how the $150 million is spent, and how does it actually help to save customers. Now, the second question is the government, can the government commit to actually publishing the fuel structures, including taxes, levies, and the subsidy components, so that Gambians can, verify some of these subsidies? Because we've been hearing this time and time that government always subsidize fuel prices, and yet it is not actually reflecting on the farm.
My name is Edward Francis Dalia from Askambi Media, and my question goes to NAWEC. So when the NAWEC guy was given the update,
The deputy MD.
Yeah, the deputy MD, okay, sorry for that. He made mention of the focus being significantly on access to electricity, like expanding the electricity access in Gambia. But my question is, what is the value of achieving access to electricity, access in the country, when our local generation is not sufficient? In economics, we say the higher the demand, supply should come. So now we have seen that the demand is higher, but the local generation here, the supply, is low. So what is the benefit of that? My second question is, since 2017, how much have been invested specifically in domestic electricity generation? And how many megawatts of generation capacity have been added as a result? Because this new government came in 2017. There was a megawatt that was there. So how much have been added since 2017 up to date? And why does the Gambia remain heavily dependent on imported electricity despite this investment?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I am Adamo Fadera from Membekerin TV and Home Digital FM, Brikama. I would like to ask in Mandinka for the benefit of our local followers. Ntalafta nyininkaro kala nim Mandinka kaunna bare mde nyininkaro bida damento wolam NAWEC la fannade nga government dunge jayi bake ni nying initiative mennar lafta NAWEC nyininkara follow ke menna wolam nying kurang kundo be kering up and down on be kering ila press release le ka fanya ko nying adanda kombole but last week, this past Sunday, ndabinu kiande. Almost na material will be minati nyala. Ikat kurang kanala akatala seconds like this. And the tarawo intara kiande. Ndefone na bungwaya aman electrician. Mfone tara nga bagasol befa. But ni moment tara jemi alon ko ayo idea sodo. Probably was a problem of course knowledge. For NAWEC, mol meni alon ko ibo ma fone nyina musinya fone ka kurang experience. For be sensitization o ke kan ne bank. No issue si val kala be fam protect la jama fo ina na akela bank fo abela plan ko no that's one. Second one on mendi nim corona nyin tanin na ye chat solidande janne corona situation banko ka nyame metal la nyin kon for how long time frame le beje bank me alon kon sa expect no ko within that time frame nyin situation nyin be bala kono and mol men yalon ko la bagasol tinyara ngalon ngaje modul dol nga complain so dol men yalon ko small scale business o manol le muydi dol le business o le start ay la material o ye bula frijol ko ne tinyara fo NAWEC plan sur le banko marignol ke compensate o fo o marignol ni NAWEC ni samani NAWEC be lola la bankaje ko ko compensate and the other question ni momenti NAWEC fo planol be je le bank me alon ko manke long term plan but short term plan so ko NAWEC la generation nyin ka fale because ñim wosi won be min rek meta caring wati wada be den menna na generator wala mu G5 G2 G3 spare part le ya ordana meta ñim moy la kabring di former regime still wo bo continue kanjan fo NAWEC fana be plan o ke kan ne bang me alon ko atakela wati merindi kan na power generation system won ka fal ida ngata into power windmill o ngata into dam o ngata into solar plants fo mbo planol ke kan ba mialon ko long term lembang for short term lembang and mosa expect no what jomalem wala mun question and last question sorry but only one question is in most cases nin ngol nga programme la ninga NAWEC la issue nati mo la biggest complaint ka kamenti ninga cash power dundi ninga 1000 dundi ka 700 la soto ninga $100 dundi nka 70 la soto something like that.
Thank you. I think your question about the subsidy, I don't think I'm the competent person to answer that question. And I don't want to say things that I don't know about. I think what I would advise is you write to me the questions and request for how the subsidy is made and also the fuel structure, and we'll provide that to you. And you can further share with the public. But I cannot answer those questions as of now. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I think, so for the first question, I think since 2017, 2 new power stations have been built. As I showed, Bilkama 3 was inaugurated in 2021, which is a brand new 20 megawatts. And then in 2023, Jambu solar power plant has been installed, which is 23 megawatts. So in total, 43 megawatts has been added since 2017, which is significant. But again, as I showed, maybe I've missed one, and my colleague.
You mentioned in G5
and
which is
yes, 2018 also G5 was added, which is 12 megawatts. So I think definitely, if you look at it, 12 plus that, you will have almost more than 50 megawatts of new capacity has been added. So it portrays the point that there is no neglect of generation. Like I showed, the value chain, you cannot just deal with one problem, hoping that afterwards you deal with everything simultaneously. So also on the issue of access, I think the best way to understand this is what is the alternative. Should we leave half the country without access and just focus here? Is that the right way to approach development? So I don't think that we should question why there's a focus on access. We cannot have 2 million Gambians and more than 1.5 million don't have access to electricity. It's not right. Morally and also, I think, ethically, it's not the right thing to do. So I think focusing on connecting every Gambian home to make sure that if somebody is in the GBA and can study at night and pass their exam, the same should happen anywhere else in the provinces. So I think the best way to understand this is what is the alternative, not to do anything. So I don't think that's right. And I think, again, if you look at the total megawatts installed, as I said earlier, you will see that the focus has not been on access, but the focus has also been on generation. And also, we can give you all the new substations that have been added in some of these communities, because you cannot just connect people and then leave them like that. So there's been great modernization, there's been access, and there's also been improvement on the generation. So the point I'm just making is, I understand this is a serious issue, but it's a cascading effect of external factors that have really impacting. And we should not look at these 2 weeks as a failure of the entire energy strategy and the entire system. I don't think that's a fair assessment. So on the last issue with Kiang, I'm not sure on the issue. Yes, maybe my colleague can listen, but I was just going to say maybe that's a local isolated problem on that area. Under normal circumstances, you can have these things. A transformer can sit here and there, but my colleague's party and this can come in. Unfortunately, my Mandinka is not very good, but.
Deputy Managing Director min fana be kenola an isolated problem leti because wollo ko ngam sala lollo ko kono fana ninna director fele siring aseng seriano ngani nga ko nyego ka senan ko mbokol yara because kurantiji bare fele kiya nyam kurama bija andum alla satil ngamere man jamfanyo data ne male ngamera you are data the other side so ngamera be man jamfanyo bari ngol bije be la mayla but min kuma da wala nyindi ko problem o do ka ke wadu do faminga ke molla ila transformer ka problem o so do le amira fo NAWEC le off a sample jamal ke tale ni dara jiwe ngaje ko problem o be transformer je ko line o nying wala off da woto na kuma ko ngam fo ko min problem o be jibele be sabati mo kan ne because na dalila ko lo so do bawo ndol fana be botana sandol le do de fana mangi ko mo ngode fana bara sandol do andu nga salol ke o ma fo ngal bar kurama be njele toñalem isolated problem o se kena wolem kuye ke mi alon ko makalam da dinga kalam da don ka fix le yenyi ni ngaro da ron fanange min kumya da fo biringa nyin kurangol samba sa de do munu nina masodo ha ni dara jire janni ka kurangol samba nga police min so do wolem awu standard le by the World Bank aning da kurangol la tamandi nyan data sa de do janni kurangol fon kana ngata la nga sefol kumandi ngal kalol kumandi nga viditi kumandi ni e kachani bodaje ni e murun ko de ngata satel kono je in fact ki yang birin dara nema before dara ki an nema jiada korda mi ko ka baje sabodi kunda so ni murtaje ni ninka fo baji nyol man naja naraje ni mol kachara ka fo kuramo na fa soto bara mantoro soto le so nga yamarol ki janu kata sate o sate ni mol ka kachala in fact na programme do so do mi alon fa mol kanale ni si ni be sela bangela pasol di la kemelulu inaga se ngamira ki ko do fa ko nyoko haba ni mi do nyanda ka kele wade ni wade woto na wo kachal fanan kele wokola nila nyini karo do iko ni kaspo sang wili kilin ika kemero la sodo man songa kumola mol ka fole nimi ya fo ngamera nimpa be la mo ngamara la programme do ngado kijele ngami foto nakeda mina please alin komandi o ali anati hani ano fa ala samba any page ali asabe je ko nawe ke jene mba jabila bare ni $1,000 sa wili ibe wili le sotla minga ke modol la ni tata sang ika mina third party vendors wala munuka asang NAWEC bulika wafo yalo sambiri wali asang NAWEC bulikini iba wafo le tamani bulikini on dila sakebe dalasi mom bondila jele waran dalasi tan wosa keno bare NAWEC ni asantoli ya bulikini ibe bulikini na sotla fembo gatala woto thank you
ni kaspo sa bulikini
ha
ni adundi mitato bulikini muka safeji
hani muka sa
72 points so wo amake 700 wo di silo wat hour ngara moja mal ko wala
okay maybe that's
the problem 1000 sang ya dundi 1000 buka fej ila mitato 72 point something kV something like a taraje wo it's not the unit dollars
no it's not
so moja mal camera ko wala be safari nje ngamer wala ka confusion
nara wala I think mo winkela be bari ngo bulalale ay ta round kiyang ay wol sena ba toñale I think akuma docteur min sene docteur baraka ngamre energy fanangel docteur min bolen toñade ni kura o sang yalla ni $100 le tata ito camera ko 100 kilo woni wala binala hani ito na iba soto ka in kilowatt yalla kura woni kilowatt wala aka tamani ala tunku woni ka wala sang ni asa woni ka wala so man jogo ni ra petrol station ni ajibe ni wili fula sang ajibe sa wili fula de wili fula sot la in liters boni be liter wala sot la wili fula taraje ibe kat safaro ka trefa ano NAWEC la kayto fana docteur min volem toñadi ibe wili fula jela kodo ibe wili kilin jela kodo bare be 72 kilowatts le jel so man jogo 700 le ngamra nyin dula anyanta faham la I think this is very important thank you for that ani mun ko dade
sustainability plan
ngamra dia ni akilo diam ni na kumoda min fo ni tibabu kamala o seni adal wala nyindi ko o sustainability abe kirine aka fo fang nin alayem de ma tumando baro jani nyin karobe fala wala nyi wadi kumbi ngo kono nyanda ka contrat ko sign pour ka jeko nga 50 megawatt so 50 megawatt fa amanje 50 megawatt 50 megawatt wili kemeni tandulu lem megawatt woni bare ngake tungum folo obe kala meter tallul di ora tungum woni we kala meter kemeleti bare nyin tallulo ni na pare da jara soma ni wala mimbe mbulu tumando bato mimbe kala je wala nyindi ko kayta ka je ko sa indol fana mbe fudala tembo do mi ko gambia be kura wafula mi abo moye biya ka kay talin wode bare nam aman jam fa ko de ando yen nyini ngaro do fa do nyini ngaro ki jande fo kabrin 2017 fo ndol nga kafundroge brim manza kunda falindro ke tajan 2017 kala 2018 ku jamal le kita depan jamal le fanan dunda pour NAWEC la karola bare kaje ko men dol be mu gambia ko le kaje sabere mol ka ko NAWEC ko di jamal dunda je million wala dunda je mi alon ko amanna hanisa en courant man stable no lafta pour ka nyim fanan seniandi na badi la mo dale ko ning ayata ko men million keme nani dollar wala dunda NAWEC pour ka tamandi wo million keme nano amanje pour ka generation capacity la access bo wala kono wala ka courant samba satel kono ama nanyi sam fil balal ka munje silo kan wala fananda dada wala 225 wala be jota wala kono so ku jamal leketa ko do nyin kono be pare do nyin ka roke tibabu kan wala foninge ako wala mimbe mbuli jaman singa samba sandolto nini taraje itara fo ifutata wuli limbambuli nyum fo be nyabile kan because wolo bi ni wali lampo fonction 2 hours e alaten because you nena ma mira kabine independent for bi alhamdulillah within a very short period NAWEC ani gambia man sakunda la mako ro kono NAWEC sate keme worola ani sate tak ani kono do yol connect la be pare na bosse min fo universal access pour ka tay mo ñu fek dunia be bendamin na wolem 2030 pour universal access momo be dawde e courant soto gambia man sakunda yo kumtule ya nadi de 2025 anu tolnga mo dawda 2025 2026 anu wolem nyindi ko bay December 2026 lafta ka jogo momo be dawda gambia ja e courant soto wala universal access ti now e courant soto womo cleanedi bare courant be futale mo fana mo fulade bare fana be silo ka nabina bare momo la nyantolem amanje coming privilege mandinga I don't know momo la nyantolem nyindi la sulolem pour ka courant so manke ko min ka fo karele ba so la carte so goto mo be le denda courant wala na kata pour mo be fana ya so bare ferel bi jele pour ka je ko na generation capacity fana be dogu kan ala baraka.
My name is Shirif. I'm working for Civil Press.
The first question I have here is how much is NAWEC spending on the importing electricity on a monthly basis? Yeah. The second question, I'd like to ask that in a local language. From 2017, covering 2017, Kananam from the Watu Menkono, almost Sanji Kononto. Problem will be carrying still now, Kajo problem Sifal be carrying. Sai from a worse can. What I meant right now, covering Kunun Kurangotara from the Bokanje, I didn't even charge my mobile phone. Yeah, so Deputy MD Ngala Mojanga Diamokang, Ako member caring, even though I original for it, you understand, fuel crisis and other things. But among failure to bankaje ko salo nata banasalo, mol minialon ko ila business all beloring kurang ole kang karalal and other people even minialon ko ila leangol fale ila subol bele frijol ko ne betinyata business all right now as we speak. Business all mola business all betinya kan right now.
My name is Yusuf Taylor for Askanwi Media. My question is very simple, and I would like to direct it to the Honorable Minister. The Gambian public have really been lamenting this electricity issue and the timing. Some of them are saying, especially the elite class, the ministers, from the president up, they are all enjoying generators, solar, all kind of alternative sources of electricity. Their meat is not getting destroyed over the recent fest. What's your response to that? That you people definitely don't feel what the public is saying. And that's one of the reasons why your press releases, when they come out, is far from what people are experiencing every day. That this government is out of touch with what the everyday Gambian is going through.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Arejata from the Standard newspaper. So we have been hearing that NAWEC owes Senegal. Is it true that because NAWEC owes Senegal, that is why the Senegal government has stopped supplying us electricity?
I'll start with you, Yusuf. I think that's a very important question. I think there is a perception out there that ministers are not also suffering. But that is not true. We are suffering like every other Gambian with this challenge. And I think it's unfair for us to have that perception that ministers have solar in their house. Why is the evidence? As far as I know, I don't have a solar in my house. And sometimes I struggle with my kids in the morning for them to have solar to go to school. And that is the fact. But I understand. And that brings my question to the gentleman who says things are getting worse. Maybe he's young, that is why. When Barrow came to Banjul, there was definitely a movement that went to the Westfield. For what? To protest against the lack of electricity in this country. How things, for the past 2 years, who has complained about electricity? If it was a failure, they would have been complaining for the past 2 years. But there was no single complaint. In fact, we expanded access to every part of this country. How is that a failure? Failure is when there is a constant lack of electricity, like we've seen in other African countries, where every 3-4 days is when you get electricity, every 5 days. Some, in fact, don't even expect it. In some countries, yes, not very, I don't want to name countries, you don't even expect it. If it comes, they organize a barbecue because electricity has arrived. Here, for the past 2 years, we've been providing constant electricity to the public. For the past 2 years, constant electricity. Now there's a glitch, a challenge. For 2 weeks, and we are calling it a failure. It's like you have your wife who's been cooking for you for the past 2 years, delicious meal. Then 2 days she didn't cook, and you say she's a bad wife. Now I'm just giving an example. For the past 2 years, she's been cooking delicious food for you. No, but who controls timing? The machine doesn't know what is Tobaski or Christmas. The machine doesn't know that. The equipment doesn't know that. Our wish is for every government to enjoy their Tobaski. That is our wish as a government. What do we gain from making sure that Gambians suffer? What do we gain from it? It's not good for us politically. If we are to decide, nobody will go without electricity in this country. Nobody. And water. But remember, we inherited a bad system. We have not done any significant investment in electricity and water in this country for the past 30, 40, 50 years. And we've added over 50 megawatts to the grid since 2017 to date. All we ask for is for the public to bear with us. We are going to solve this problem, just like we've solved many other problems that this country has faced. When the ferry crisis started, there was so much news about the ferry. Who's talking about the ferry now? That 2 weeks when there was no ferry, it was like the country was collapsing. The most important is that we are a government that listens, and we listen to the public, and we are going to solve this problem very soon. And this will be a thing of the past. No country goes without problems. It's not possible. Even as a human being, sometimes you get sick. Do you say, I'm sick? God, the timing is bad. It's Tobaski and I'm sick. Do you say that? That God, the timing is bad? How can I get sick before Tobaski? Do you say that? This could happen anytime. It could happen on the eve of elections, in fact. The most important thing is we are doing everything possible to make sure we stabilize the situation. And let's look at the bigger picture. For over 100 years, there are communities in this country with no electricity, never in their entire life. Now they have it. That's good news. And nobody said anything about it. Nobody even said, government, thank you. But just 2 weeks. And it's not like it's total blackout 24 hours. No. We said there's a problem. Bear with us. We are going to raise on it. And it's like the whole world is collapsing. And he calls it a failure. It's not a failure. It's a challenge. No, so, and then you talk about equipment. How can you... There are many factors that can make equipment break down. It could be the quality of the equipment itself. So, what we are asking for, and what NAWEC is saying is that bear with us, we are going to solve the problem. And not that we are not empathetic to the public. We are as ministers. My mom is in Brikama. She calls me at night. Huh? She calls me. I feel it, but it's beyond my control. If I had the powers, I'd make sure that she has light at night, so she doesn't sleep under the hot atmosphere. But this is the situation. And I think when countries face a challenge, let us solve it together and help each other to solve it. And sometimes, some people use it political. They just use it in a manner in which it is wrong. They politicize it. They politicize people's challenge, which is wrong. So I think for me, that is it. Fred, to answer your question, we are going through the same pain and the same challenge as ministers as well. We are human beings. Even if a minister is having solar at home, can you afford to give solar to your father and your mother and your uncle and your brother? Your family members are also suffering. So we're all suffering with this, but we understand it's a challenge. It's beyond our control. Isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the other questions are press release in English.
Sorry, you think answer the
No, he's going to answer that.
They'll answer the question.
He'll answer your question. Press release in English.
Price?
The press release.
Communication.
Yeah.
In English instead of.
That's a good feedback.
Yeah.
It's a good feedback. We'll take note.
And the first one.
And the
Senegal, yeah.
And the other one is monthly basis expenditure. Yes.
The Senegal one.
Yes. We will answer the Senegal one as well. So whether the
Yes. So I think first, thank you for that suggestion. I think we should communicate better, and I think we'll take that on board. We are on radio, television, and I think we try to communicate as much as possible. What is sent on social media, of course, has to be in English, but we will. It's a very good suggestion. I think we've been communicating, but we'll do more. I think any suggestion or anything that can put us together through this crisis is welcome, and we are always open for that. Again, I think what I wanted to highlight on the issue of failure, like I said, if we are questioning the strategy that has been taken, like I said, the strategy doesn't just have one objective. It's trying to solve the entire sector together to grow as a sector. So in that respect, I don't agree or think that the roadmap strategy has failed, because I think that if you look at it over the period, there's a net positive outcome for most customers. And as Dr. Cisse said, if we had this press conference, say 100 days ago or 3 months ago, we would not be talking about this. If we had it last year as well. So like I said, it's a serious situation. We recognize that. But I don't think we can look back and say we arrived here because our strategy failed. I think that we recognize, like I said, because of the external factors that are happening, not just in the Gambia. If you go to all the countries in the sub-region, everybody who has a thermal plant is reducing their oil consumption because it's simply not affordable anymore. There are two things. You consume more oil and you ask people to pay more. And in any country now, it's difficult to increase tariffs. So the thermal plants everywhere, in Senegal, in Guinea, everywhere, they're reducing thermal consumption because the fuel price is just expensive. So it's the renewables that are coming up and therefore making it not enough to share around. And so if you're under maintenance like us, you cannot have that surplus to come in. I think we've explained that very well. On the amount consumed from Senegal and Guinea and the others, it varies month by month. It depends also at the which season we're talking about. And so I don't want to throw figures, but it could be maybe a few $1 million to maybe 8 million or 5 million combined, $4 million. It depends. So, for example, if we're in the rainy season and there's a lot of hydro in the system, we will ask to get that. And because ultimately you want to give people cheaper electricity. But I think we can just say a few $1 million, that is what it costs every month. And this is paid for on a monthly basis by NAWEC. So I don't think, on the question of whether we owe our suppliers, this is why, like I said before, I don't think this is a Senegal issue or a Guinea issue. It's not a bilateral issue. There is no financial issue here. And again, every trade is usually backed by a guarantee. It's the same thing. If you were to order, say, something from China, you would have to get an LC from a bank for the supplier in China to know he'll be paid. So the same thing. We have provided bank guarantees against all the transactions. So if we default, they can simply just cash the bank guarantee. So this is not a financial issue. I don't think we can say that because we owe money, the energy is not actually being provided. I think they have their own problems. We don't want to go into that. And I think this is what we try to highlight. But I can also invite any of our colleagues if they want to comment. If not.
Germany buys from other countries. This happens and they sell to each other. For now, if we think that, because there are two options based on what I hear you say. We buy cheaper from Senegal and we don't increase tariffs in the country. Or we can try to force increase tariffs, produce here, but increase tariffs in the country. And you have to find that balance. And I think the most important thing for me, the silver lining is that investments have been done to ensure energy security in this country, to in fact have surplus to sell outside. Because I think what we need is not more than 120 megawatts. Am I correct?
Yeah. That's a peak load.
Yeah.
The peak is 120.
120 peak load. Now, already we have how much generated internally? Over 50. Over 50. Now, with the 50 megawatts coming in summer and scaling it up to 100, we'll have surplus. So I think the future is bright. All is not doom and gloom. Can we get another question? Yeah. Three questions. Yeah, we'll get you.
Adiamo bita dame wolon navecti mina atuna ni mole meter apply atelier mbuka meter soto fo sanji kili sanji fola dolbi ikatani dumani $15,000 do kula do like a meter natali o kamene mene ko cost.
My name is Isambalo, proprietor of Upright Media TV2 online, and also work for King FM Radio. I have a question for the Deputy MD, but when it comes to electricity, we have two main important components. Generation and distribution. What I want to know is how many megawatts are we generating currently, locally, in the Gambia, and the level of distribution?
I just have two questions now, this time around to NAWEC. Hence, the Honorable Minister could not provide answers. That's understandable. So we understand that Kotu power stations used to be the major source of electricity, actually producing over 30 megawatts. Recently, we've seen that there are claims that the power station is providing little or no electricity so far. We just want to know the current status of the Kotu power stations. And the other thing is, we understand that NAWEC relies basically on imported electricity. Can you take us through your plans for the future?
On the last question, I just want to say that I think what we can give you, because we cannot, with contracts, there's a limit to the information that we can give. So like I said, the energy imported every month is a function of many things. How much we have available, the time of the year, and so many other things. But the figures we give are realistic amounts of what it is per month.
Mteto matarati manja modo ko NAWEC on the customer service. Okay, nyinen kala follow mi nyinen ka wolo akama son ko near cash power sang $100 $100 okay, na cash power na tariff is open. I think neither than the branches so on the website, so most of the time is there. Sign the mo jama coming na present that and the nyami customer jama ba domestic about 61% of our customers are domestic. What tariff are on 13.85. So near 100 sang about divided by 13.85 ebolo soto. So you can 100 say 10 sort. So previously, the tariff over increase to 13.5. It used to be 10.14. So 10.14 near 100 sang, you get close to 10, like 9 point something. It's very close to 10. Equal sort. So kabili of falling the side, all the more car near 100 cents, I big 100 sort. Because so more near 100 sang, it 10 sort. It could come in so it's very close to 10. So all on promo, you falling the coming I think 2023 or so. So hopefully in the journal. So all on tariff for the tariff is available. It's public information to everybody. Now they domestic below, now they water below from a tariff for Qatar below from Comal. So it's available. So and the other Yininka line Yininka, wala comita near meter apply a camera, Jenica meter sort. Ha, Tonya long, what is sort of near meter apply no at a time tap. Because coming Deputy Managing Director of Nyami. Na bagas Jamal BJ in Kebonina overseas. So sometimes ning supply chain disruptor akan dolfana barandi jani bagaso ko fata jam. So meter cable any accessories everything about on world. But what is a thing of the past? I think we get to a point at certain time na ni mole application of funka seal and kamol but what was a thing of the past? As we are speaking right now, we have over 50,000 meters with us. Ni mole application of a cycle application of a kilometers on time.
But on time. Apply how many days or weeks should I get my meter?
It should not maximum the entire process will not take you more than 25 days.
More than 25 days.
More than 25 days.
So say apply at a meter or
apply okay, a 1669 is available. You can call 1669, give them your account number and then they will take it up. And then if there's any other issues, most of the issues from Aminkake, sometimes more application okay with different number. So like Mr. Cisse, more like Mr. Cisse long, another application okay Mr. Cisse. Mr. Cisse maybe application okay more 719. So with time Mr. Cisse call like a application okay material. So it's a struggle with Mr. Matara Korabondi while Mr. Cisse number levi, Dr. Cisse number levi. So all for so we have so many other challenges, but Katrala has much to communicate to the customers, can enlighten about the procedural movement and some of the challenges that we face.
With regards to the tariff. Tariff is set not by NAWEC. So Mata did mention that tariff has changed. It has changed from 10 point something to 13.85. It was not NAWEC who set tariff. Tariff is set in a consultative process, and Pura leads that process, in the country here. So it is not NAWEC. If it is at NAWEC's disposal, we will change the tariff as it is today, because it's quite very expensive to produce electricity and sell, distribute and transmit and distribute it. So, we cannot do that because it goes through a consultative process and Pura leads on that process. Okay? As it stands now, it's 13.85. So you can do the simple division, you see it yourself. Yeah.
First and foremost, I wish to apologize to our esteemed customers and myself also for the outages that we are faced with. I know it's very difficult presently, and I will appeal to all our customers to bear with us, that we are doing everything possible within the shortest possible time to restore our supply to normalcy. Coming back to our generation, I just want to add our installed capacity presently is around 104 megawatt, not to include the solar plant. Meaning, yes, the installed capacity is 104 megawatt, not to include the solar plant. Meaning, what is installed in the Gambia is adequate for the GBA. But we must note, most of our equipment, to maintain them, you have to import your spare parts, everything that you need, it's not manufactured here. So there is a delay. Some of the spare parts, you need them, it will take 6 months, 7 months, because they need to be manufactured, they are not on share. And these are one of the disruption or interruption that we are faced with. Coming back to Kutu, our installed capacity in Kutu is 31.7 megawatt presently. That is what is in Kutu. What is available, we have 2 engines, G5, which is 12 megawatt. We have G7, which is 6.4. The other 2 are under rehabilitation because we want to bring them back on. Understand? But it cannot be done at once. You need to pay your bills at the same time, ensure that you bring your lost capacity. From 2018, this is what is being done. When the new government came in 2018, most of our DOIS engines were down. Remember, it is this government with NAWEC, with the World Bank, we were able to bring almost 50 megawatt back to operation. And some of them were even earmarked for decommissioning because they were all absolute. A lot of investment was done to ensure that they are available. And another investment was done with the Islamic Development Bank, with the African Development Bank to ensure that some of those engines are operating. So the Gambian people, we've been here. We know what we were generating through, what we were transmitting through. And today we have a 225 to minimize our losses. We have 33, which was our distribution. We were distributing in that level, and equally we were transmitting at that level. And it was very difficult. The interruption was too much. In a month, you check our report before 2017, it was almost 100 times that we have blackouts. Today, how many blackouts do we have? In a month, we are getting 2 to 6 blackouts on average, and sometimes 0 blackout. But because we are doing load shedding, Gambians are, yes, I know what we're going through. I know myself, even my house, during the Tobaski, even my kids, we are not happy with me. They were not happy with me because it's something that I cannot address because it happened, bam. It was not expected. So I will appeal to our public or our customers to please bear with us. We expect within the next 2 weeks, we will be able to normalize the situation. Thank you.
We presented, currently there is a 50 megawatt being awarded. That is part of the investment strategy. And I think that more will come. As he said, the idea is to have 150 in summer. But initially, we're doing 150 megawatts, and then we scale up as we move on. So I think, again, as I said, the strategy is monitoring demand and the number of customers we are having and trying to align that with investment. So we are on track if you take out this issue that we are having on these last 2 weeks. So there's a 50 megawatt investment on solar, which is going to be inside the Gambia.
maa ngi tudd Amath Kébé di liggéey Paradise TV su ma laajte bi ñaar la benn bi mooy biñ mujjee yokku tarif bi su ma juumut mi nga nekkoon 2023 that time fuel bi mi nga nekkoon around 62 su ma juumut nak ngeen ko nekk di dundee nga xam ne tey fuel bi dem na ba 100 and something dalasi boo xam ne yokku nañ ko ci wàllum fuel te tarif bi yokku beneen bi ñu bëri ñu ngi focus ci wàllum courant bi kese gis nañ ñu bëri ñu ngi nekk di complain about ndox amut ñu bëri ñu ko nekk di wax so lan moo nekk situation ndox bi ak ban jéego ngeen def ngeen make sure ne nit yi dinañ mun a am ndox.
My name is Jacqueline Koli. I work for QTV. Mr. Manager, we want to know what really is the problem. Because the press releases and today I've not heard anyone address what really is the problem. Why is electricity scarce?
Si wàllu tarif bi comme ni ko waa ji waxee any business nen assume ne NAWEC sax nguur gi moomu ko just a normal private business kenn du bëgg a operate ngay ñàkk xaalis danga gis nañ ko si taxi driver yi gis nañ ko si anything loo xam ne li nga ko jëndi doo ko mën a jaayee nga ñàkk si xaalis so suñ doon toppa li no cost recovery comme let's say heavy fuel mu ngi woon say for example $300 per tonne tey mu nekk say $700 per tonne even su doon machine yëpp a ngi dox definitely tey price bi sooy fay $13 yi da nga war a fay $26 so benn nguur gi mu ñëw mu ne bu leen ko yokk si askan bi xaaral ñu jox leen xaalis bi loolu tamit noo ko seetee seen xaalis la nguur gi di jëlaat rek xëy na nu ngi ko war a dugal si lopitaan wala dugal ko feneen nu ngi ko dugal si NAWEC ubbu askan bi yokka lifin so loolu laay wax ne soo gisee loolu mënut a am parce que ñu ngi séedoo loo xam ne ñun noo ko moom Africa mooy yeneen dëkk yi ñu ngi jéem a seet seen resources mooy hydro bi ak yooyu noonu ñu séedoo ko ak lifin moo tax ñuy def this interconnection so definitely to answer that question soo gisee ñu mun a absorb shock bu mel nii apart from sa technical problems yi doon wax fii nii at yi passé nii yëpp nga price bi mu ngi doon increase nekku di double waaye mu ngi doon increase 5% 2% like that so waaye tarif bi yokku parce que yaa ngi ko mën a jënda si lifin the other thing with hydro pour nit yi understand tamit mooy time yi nawet soo usut ndox bi su daam bi feesee dañ am li di ooyee spilling da nga am pour ubbi rek nga yaaxa ndox bi parce que yaa nga ndox bi da ko mën a ciyee rek so nga jël ko def ko courant jaay ko keneen moo gën so loolu yëpp is loo xam ne moom lañ nekk di liggéeyee nii so I think ne li ma wax rek mooy ñu ni neen African si rek ñu gën a connect ñu gën a trade in electricity daf yooyu parce que li xew bitim réew loolu problème yi bitim réew so ñun leen war a gën a collaborate ak yooyu noonu so I think the other question mooy ne MD bëggoon na fee nekka waaye tey si suba moom tamit mu ngi dem si fi nga doon laajte SOE commission foofu la dem pour explainer leen di nekka di xew parce que xam nga we have what is called a performance contract so si at bu nekka SOE commission den la day wax ne nangam nga war a def pour nga mun a am comme liñ laa fay daal nga mun koo an so foofu la dem pour wane problème bii nii naka la moo xewee ak lan moo si nekka so ñun li nekka di def fii moom mu ngi koo def foofu tam pour explainer waaye mu ngi fi mu ngi si dëkk bi fanaa laajte nga beneen tam njëriñu SOE commission waaw société about 1 month ago ñu ngi publish seen 2025 annual report xaw ma ndax gis nga ko société report boobu mu ngi wane asset si state owned enterprise si yëpp seen profitability seen staff cost to total revenue ak yooyu noonu yëpp société métrique li fi ñu ñoo jël yëpp I think NAWEC def na si ñi nekk si kaw la nekk because almost half of assets yi state owned enterprise yi moom yëpp NAWEC moo leen gën a moo si ëppa doole daal because société assets si government soo jëlee NAWEC keneen ki nga am xëy na ports la wala dara waaye in terms of revenue NAWEC is almost 4 or 5 times greater than them so we are almost about $15 or so billion is a year compared to ñeneen yi 1 or 2 billion something like so I think ne société yeneen yi comme li ma wax rek indicators yi yëpp we are not doing badly staff cost as a percentage of total revenue it's less than 5% or so loolu yëpp mu ngi wane ne we are on track so buñ seet lii rek pour wane ne things are totally out of play nekkul di xew so SOE ñu ngi def liggéey bu baax tamit because at bi passé sax ñaari at yi passé ñu nekk NAWEC yëpp den wàññi woon seen salary because meeting performance indicator. So lolu mu ngi laa wan ne système bi mu ngi dox. So soo gisee dafaatuñ loolu parce que ñu ngi meet target si, so they have to push harder. ñun tam ñu gën a liggéey pour góorgóorlu si. waaw. waaw docteur mu ngi daw question bi waaw I think ni ma bëggee answer question boobu mooy sooy dem ak nit court wala dara dafa fekk mu def maa tey sa kaw mu ñëw mu violate sa rights then yow si nga ko mën a yóbbu so ñun kenn si ñun du dee ewu suba ne dañoo deliberately yaha or violate any Gambian. So there is no the intent pour gaañ Gambia nekku fa so lu xew dafa fekk xëy na mënu koo control or noonu la demee waaye I think ne NAWEC is not exempt from any legal process su dee def dara loo xam ne definitely noo ko tey ñu yaxal nit kooku mun naa dem to any. waaw li ma waaw man xaaral ma isi docteur mu answer.
xam nga NAWEC.
wala moo gën si loolu.
NAWEC is a legal entity. mun naa suu te mun nañ koo suu loolu is clear. léegi su fekkee da nga bëgg a suu NAWEC loolu code by decide kenn mënut a taxaw fi mu la ne lii moo xew si code bi code bi daa independent. ba lu ma war a wax mooy ne luy xew is not negligent te kenn mënu maa wax ne négligence la problème boo xam ne la te bëgg naa nga answer loolu because ndaw si dafa laaj very important ko lan mooy problème bi foog naa loolu lañ war a xam right now ko kenn laajtew loolu noonu depuis buñu starté moo tax ndaw si bu nga ko laajee moo xam ne lii c'est good question lan mooy problème bi ndox moo amul si daam si ndax lan mooy problème bi I think that question should be answered.
So I think we tried to answer the question xëy na leerul bu baax waaye li nekk di wax rek mooy ne ñun right now comme ni ko Paate waxee we have embarked on a massive maintenance programme moo tax ma wane machines yi fa nekk so soo seetee machines yi ñu wane majority of them ñu ngi leen def on the maintenance now maintenance bi some of them they are almost complete moo tax ñu mun a confident pour joxe time ne balaa time bi some of the machines will come back yeneen ni parts yi war a ñëw comme ni ma ko waxee yaa ngi def order bi ki ko war a ship mu ne duma ko ship because fi moo jaar dafa am pour dem Jebel Ali for example in Dubai te woo mu ngi am foofu noonu affaire si du mën a ñëw machine boobu noonu duñ ko mën a taal so loolu si problème bi la bokka loolu ñun mënuñ koo contrôle fay neen ko xaalis order neen part bi waaye moom mënu koo ship so loolu mu ngi contribute si problème bi it's a direct impact of the war in Iran so machine boobu noonu suñ ko planoon pour def ko April ba tey ñu ngi June ñu ngi xaar spare parts yi it's part of the problem loolu leen doon jéem a explain so that's an external factor another thing mooy ne war bi dafa tax price yi double so essence bi noo dugal si machine yi is the same essence similar one bi nga dugal si generator si heavy fuel ni price bale yoko almost 100% noonu la price bi tamit yoko so dëkk yëpp si sub region bi ñi nga xam ne ñu ngi jënd essence di ko lakka ñu ngi wàññi loolu because suñ defut loolu dañoo am pour yokka tariffs everywhere and that is having an impact on the amount of energy be available pour nu mun koo trade so bu njëkka li daan xew mooy soo gisee almost 1 year déggu leen coow problème bu mel nii because suñ daan def maintenance ñu génnee si 5 megawatts dinañ call Sénégal rek ne yokkal 5 megawatts or ñu call Guinée ne yokkal 5 megawatts yow doo ko yëg waaye léegi soo koolee mu ne la man duma la ko mën a jox parce que essence bi dafa seer or suma générateur bi dafa am lii or problème bi xam nga so that capacity pour mun a substitute moo fa nekkaatut fekka yow tamit yaa ngi def all this maintenance so mu ngi laa affect and this is the root of the problem so moo tax but we feel ne things will get better moo tax ñu joxe an estimated time but I think ne du benn factor rek moo nekk di affect problème bi it's sort of like a geopolitical impact moo nekk di happen at a local level and in some cases, the fact a lot of things are happening. So, lolo like I don't explain fee, but I think it's important to gonna one some of the facts. So, more than the presentation, be part of them answer na lan mo neka kodu. Why nekut ne come amun generation you have ne then connect the neglect nekun di invest all these years. So why for na o part of them gonna learn that who one of the mom Mr. Diba then ko invite who munyo why I think Monica di help.
Jërëjëf sëriñ bi Brikama it's unfortunate li xew Brikama kerek but ñun as NAWEC soo xoolee the hospitals Jammeh Foundation Serekunda Hospital at BTH you can ask them they are in our priority list under no circumstances that those areas are switched off unless there is a technical problem. Brikama ci guddi googu noonu line bi feed from Brikama power station all the way to Banjul moo am an issue overnight. Our people were there put to address that and ensure that the hospital we install a new transformer for the hospital in Brikama because initially the distribution network in Brikama was very bad for the hospital in particular. We engaged them to ensure that we have reliable supply for the hospital. So during that night one of the distribution line or the transmission we may call it, more a wire cut. So our guys could not bring it back on overnight. So the hospital was blacked out throughout because it's the only source from the power station all the way. So there was an interruption within that line. So definitely it's we could not have done anything. But first thing in the morning, we were able to restore supply to the Brikama hospital. And it is not subjected to load shedding. Coming back to the problem, yes, the problem is well known, it's capacity. You know, you generate, distribute to your customers. If your generation capacity and the demand, there is a gap, and this is what we are faced with. Our available capacity is less than what the demand is. So this is the problem. Now we have a strategy because the present situation, we are into business also. We are a going concern. It's not helping me. So if I am getting in Guinea during the rainy season, 14 cents, that is around $8 or so, at least I'm able to make a gain of $2. So that at least what I have in my generation capacity, I can just bring them back on with that surplus. At least going forward, it is that cannot be done in a day. You know where we are coming from. We are just in a recovery process. So I will appeal on the public to have patience with us. We are also Gambians. We know what we're going through and we know where we are going to. This has been an issue since in the 70s. And problem in 40 years cannot be solved in 10 years. It's not possible. So, and the resources that are required to do that, you have to do them in section. So that's what we are doing. So have patience with us. We are not only depending on what we have, but we are also depending on the OMBG system, which we are part and parcel of. Thank you.
I think all the questions have been answered. No.
Remember the question.
Yes, I think it was. Thank you very much. I think the question was why water shortage, right? Okay, thank you very much. Like the DMD already mentioned in the presentation, because it has been a long while since we have a project that build a new water treatment plant. So now the government is really investing in NAWEC in terms of water supply as well, because he already mentioned we do embark on a project. In a couple of months, you will see one of the plants will be commissioned, the one in Tujere. This is a huge project, and a lot of water production will be increased. We're talking. Okay, Malaka Olof, no problem. Not try. You know, Kian nak deguñ Olof, so na laka just teasing them. Okay, yeah. Li ma bëgg a wax rek mooy comme deputy manager ko wax na ko wone na ko fii ne yàggoon na bala ñu last water project. That was like in 2009. That is like 17 years ago. So this was really a challenge. Léegi fu mu nekk ni demand bi yokku na gis nañ loolu. So léegi NAWEC ak nguur bi we are trying everything ñu ngi def luñ mun in terms of projects. Am nañ benn project bi nga xam ne loolu is we are implementing. Léegi tey boobu project boobu ñu commission ko. In a couple of months, maybe by the end of this year, I will say in 5-6 months time, that project when you have Twigereng, then I go commission. So that will make a real impact. In addition to that, another project also being ordered Benin treatment plan in Sifo. Bobutamit also is in the Hygia. That project also is on. So by and large, and also in the networks as well, project like in Bundung and all those things, that project also is on in terms of improve supply site. So we are doing that also. It's not that the side electricity regular, site in Dovitamit, we are doing utmost.
So thank you very much, members of the press and the public, those watching from home. I will also thank NAWEC for coming. I think NAWEC has apologized. And let me emphasize that apology to the Gambian people, that we hate finding ourselves in this situation, but it's a situation that we have no control over. And I think Gambians are very patient. But I think now we could also understand that you gave us, you said 2 weeks. And I hope we'll not come back again. I hope that by that time we'll solve this problem. For now, we'll be patient. We'll stop complaining. And we'll give you the time and the breathing space to solve the problem. At least for the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks is nothing. It's just 14 days. So we will be patient and we hope that the problem will be resolved within 14 days. Within 14 days. That is the promise that NAWEC has given as a roadmap. Now, but also, with the Brikama incident, the government had a project called the SESCO project, where we solarized over 1,000 schools and 100 health centers across the country. And most hospitals, I'm not sure about Brikama, have a standby generator. So we'll find out what happened, but I'm glad that this was clear that there was a technical issue which is isolated from the main problem, and I hope that wouldn't repeat itself. So we thank you for that. Mbokk ni ma war a wax rek tey dañ amoon waxtaan ak NAWEC ñëpp xam nañ ne fu mu toll nii mbiri courant bi dafa am ay jafe-jafe ne NAWEC ne ñëpp xam nañ ne ñaari at yu passé jafe-jafe amutoon courant ñu ngi ko doon am si nuñ ko war a amee emuñ si loolu waaye tamit ñu bari fa ñi nga xam ne di koy bari musuñoo am courant léegi am nañ courant jafe-jafe nag mun naa dal ku nekka mun naa dal même réew li na jafe-jafe boo xam ne la kenn séentuwu ko te kenn bëggut ko te NAWEC ñoo nañ fii te ñu ne ñu ngi jégalu askan bi te ñu ngi def seen kéemtalaay kàttan pour gis ne balaa ñaari semaine wala ñetti semaine ñu régler problème bi te ñu ngi jégalu ne lii kenn séentuwu ko du seen coobare lii am waaye mbiri courant mbiri technique la léegi-léegi yow loo yaakaar ak lan mooy sa mbébét daf di uteek ak li am te fu mu toll nii loolu moo ñu dal kon ñu ngi wax askan bi ne ñu ngi leen a jégalu ñu ngi see liggéey bu baax a baax sax guddee bëccëg pour gis ne ñu régler problème bi kon nag askan bi xamee noonu moo tax te ñoom waxtaan bi ak NAWEC mbaɗigol mbal tentula mbal jeela ka foko binna kacanga NAWEC la invite mbawa mbinga kala mota ko kole a kolle ɓe kirin kurangola soto bundato NAWEC ɗum e kumande mbi yena sada gambenole mune ɓe kiring foñum kole a kol keta e natal ɗum ya sata bari fana yemin fo e koye bal hakke danela atol gambeddigol NAWEC la waji bonten ela ngandi yo fana nden pour kaje ko ñing kole a ko sotota bari kole a ɗo nakana watule buka kunoje natta NAWEC drombulu ani man sakonda drombulu bi mode fola korongola gambe bankon kan wala na investment sol keta pour kaje ko saate dolbe Gambia kabring chuk enen mon courant soto ba bibe courant soto le woto nit ñi si fal keta akumada le banku dingol besi kafunyo ka ngaje ko kolya kolon hannin korda ko nin kola ko nara hanya tara mantara diaring bari nin kolya nara mbeka kafunyo kande nga kolya nyinga tamandi nyanda ka tamandi nyame amanke mola nganyoti masa kundala nganyonten amanke nok na nganir pour kajo ko nyin kola bari man kunoje fana mati nebe siring ita solve wala nawek lolong suta tintili iba kan kajo ko lolong nganyum problème mo solve andi la hido diko janding lokung fula lokung saba me problème mo nyin solve la ibe kato ko kenne kajo ko problème mo solve woto mbal haka dan la mba fula mobe munya nga sabaro muta kaje ko amu kulte mi alon ko amanke na nganeti andon kulon fana man kunoje fana bari be do ko kam pour kaje ko problème mo nyi solve woto nawek mbaten to lambal jela media household fana mbaten to lambal jela altolon na do ko nyolti mansakunda ni laftela mansakunda ta nyata yurwani media le kanyo mota ale do ko ke bawo mansakunda mu karafa lolati ni modu e karafa fenna be lafla kalon o karafa ko ya mota nyame anu mansakunda ta no sate o sate do kata ka fo mole ngalla karafa mota nyame bari media do wolen ka wolle kiyal kan yeta nalsi kacha bari fana ka media king kan ka fon tole monala kola coach anala wasiol ti fana kalon bawlo mansakunda la nafati pour ka banko dingola problème o solve kajo ko banko dingole jiosot anyama ona mansakunda wasi project ke e ming launch sifo million killing citizen ol melon ko benefit la nyen joto in oban Gambia million killing nanda kalon kabring 65 for nga investment min ke jobunda mansia an population of fanan grotale bawo niata da be ye jibinda so la korda ko ne din sabale soto ani musu killing wo jibinde ma warne musu sabanata nen di muang jibinda kilingo alon jote sil wala na population o ka gro nyame masakunda fanan ka planning ke wala nya andun tonga mi inherit there was no planning sane masakuna ray road map soto planning keta kaje ko population o bitaka nyame kuran ko fanan be sula la wala nya bunjelo da Gambia bankun kan kabrem president barona o mo ka yiro ala wodi tada dawoda mol bongol lokan apartment lo la bongol lo wobe ka so kuran population ka gro nyame mo ka sula jola wala nya anin kuran anin lopitan ni karam bongol ni silol an masakunda tonya la kata ko kele ba ka kan fana ngasilol millo anene man soto kabering jawara anin jamme min lota silo kilomita keme seyle lota silo sanga min lo keme kilomita woli killing anin keme saba nga woli killing keme lo do fana commission karambungol min lo ko karambung ila classroom tangning killing kawle lo pour ka ko jam fo boli banna karambung soto de fodi ngode tamala karalo la jankata karon soto l'hôpital lo ta dulal beto jolbe ajibe ni tata bande be pa ballandi kanne pour ka ko josto do labi fananto banko ka do ko banko ka do ko tili killing tuba ko Rome was not built in one day akaw time o tale ntol ba kala le hannin presse maro dañu do ko bannola hannin presse malara sanni tanya do problème so la Gambe banko kan nim mol sita fo problème so ko tan wala ngala la bagol pangal wala mbe fala ni defon hada man nga wuta so man nay yalla ko bi mom problème hani kilin soto ela bago sari la mol la o le gatale o do problème mo de banna bari na soro al nga solve citizenol alsi complain no problem bani me complain kam fanan mbamba ya mala minna ngaka kulu ko no ani horomoni bunya ko bawo bi ni mo do ko la nawek afana mo dimba tiolti banko ni ngolo abe do ko la bari ka ne ka doya because abala do ko la o fana manke siloti hani kambe mbal hakke danela ka foko nyimmu ko di mi alon ka manke